Molly's Monsters, a tale of creative struggle and artistic acceptance. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Molly. She was born in Ireland, and she loved animals, video games, cartoons, and, most of all, monsters and drawing. When she was 9, she won her art school competition with a painting of the creature from the Black Lagoon. She won art materials and a sketchbook, which she filled up with, you guessed it, monsters. When she was 10, her family moved to the Netherlands, and Molly took her monsters with her across the sea. When Molly was 12, she got in trouble at school for drawing monster versions of Sinterklaas and Zwarte Piet. She ended up in art therapy. They told Molly's family her monsters meant there was something wrong. Molly's family told them she just liked monsters. When Molly was 15, she decided, I want to be a concept artist for games and design monsters. So she asked herself, who do I have to be to get my dream art job? Well, all my favorite artists work for big studios and use Photoshop. I have to be just like them, she thought. Molly didn't like Photoshop and painting very much. She preferred drawing, but she still tried really, really hard. Molly started posting her work on conceptart.org because, well, that's what concept artists did. People would say her work was terrible. They told Molly she shouldn't draw anything except boxes and still lifes before ever drawing monsters again. But Molly didn't want to draw boxes and still lifes, she wanted to draw monsters. All the other artists wanted to work on games like World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. Molly didn't like those games. Who do I have to be? Maybe I have to be something I'm not, she thought. She started to doubt her dreams of being a creature artist. But at age 16, Molly took part in an art gallery. She displayed her monsters with pride and even sold one of them. So people do like my monsters, she thought. There's still hope. Around this time, Molly fell in love with a game, Psychonauts. Psychonauts' creator, Double Fine Productions, didn't make games like World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. They made games that were colorful and charming and funny and full of personality. Molly liked games like that. Who do I have to be? An artist at Double Fine. They wouldn't say my work sucks. They wouldn't tell me to draw boxes and still lifes. They would accept my monsters. This thought stayed with Molly for a long, long time. Molly, now 16 years old, began watercolor painting and working with ink, just like the artists at Double Fine Productions do. She experimented with art styles. She got super into style, abstract art, and collage. Molly started going to games conventions and asking people to look at her work. Most of them told her to draw boxes and still lifes. Molly hated boxes and still lifes. When she was 17, Molly went 3 hours early to a games convention in Germany so she could get a free limited edition Guild Wars 2 art book. Looking back on it now, Molly was super nerdy. While waiting, a security guard came over and laughed at how nerdy Molly was for waiting there so early. Then, he looked at her art. The security guard liked Molly's monsters. He left, and Molly kept drawing. The security guard came back with a Guild Wars 2 shirt. Molly loved it and thanked him very much. He left, and Molly kept drawing. The security guard came back with Daniel Dosiu, the art director for Guild Wars 2. The security guard said Molly was an artist from the Netherlands. Daniel asked to see Molly's work, and Molly freaked out. Daniel slowly flipped through the pages. He said nothing. Molly continued to freak out. She was afraid he would tell her to draw dumb boxes and still lifes. Finally, he looked up, and his eyes were fierce. "When you get back to Holland," he said, "you will do life drawing." When Molly got back to Holland, she did life drawing. When Molly was 18 years old, she started attending college. She studied game art at the HKU in Hilversum, the Netherlands. At college, Molly was introduced to the world of indie games. Indies did not make games like World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. They made games like Cannibal, Don't Shit Your Pants, and Super Meat Boy. Molly liked those games. They reminded her of Double Fine. Molly took concept art classes at college. The teacher didn't like her watercolor paint. The teacher didn't like her abstract art or collage influences. The teacher didn't like anything that Molly did. It was conceptart.org all over again. What do I have to be? Well, a realistic fantasy painter, because if I don't, I'll fail class. So, Molly created half-hearted work. For concept art class, she did digital paintings of high fantasy and realistic stuff. She didn't like that work, but the teacher did. Now, when Molly made her monsters, she couldn't help but feel ashamed. And, to make it worse, Molly developed a wrist injury from overworking and too much stress. She could barely draw for 2 years. When Molly was 19, she applied for an internship at Double Fine Productions. She even got a government scholarship to go work there. But Molly did not get her internship at Double Fine Productions. And that day, Molly's world changed. Molly and her partner made a game about a monster. Molly drew a high fantasy realistic creature. It was only then that Molly realized she had lost sight of what she loves. Molly knew she had to stop being what everyone else told her to be. She had to stop listening to people who told her to make things like in World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. Who do I have to be? I don't know, but it's not what those game artists are telling me to be. Age 21, Molly went to Los Angeles and studied at the Concept Design Academy. She thought maybe the answer to her question, who do I have to be, might be there. Molly learned about drawing, animal anatomy, and monster design. Students and teachers alike enjoyed Molly's monsters. Molly's monsters made them smile. They even compared Molly's monsters to Tim Burton. Molly really liked that. Except for the creature design teacher who told her to make things like in World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. These people are everywhere, I swear. But luckily, Molly had developed a thick skin by this point. While in America, Molly went to the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco. She asked an artist from Riot Games to look at her portfolio. The Riot Games artist smiled, pointed, laughed, and enjoyed Molly's monsters. "Wow, how do you come up with these things?" Molly asked what she should do to become a professional creature designer. He told Molly she should make things like in World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. Molly had reached her limit. Her monsters made people happy. Her monsters made people smile. People would say how much they liked them, only to tell her that she should make things like in World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. So what the hell am I supposed to be? Excuse me. When Molly was 22, she went to a presentation given by people from Double Fine Productions. After the presentation, Molly had a beer with the Double Finers and talked to them about games. Molly told them about the games she made with her partner, and she even gave them codes so they could download and play those games. The Double Finers were super nice. They were everything Molly always knew they would be. Molly showed the Double Finers her monsters. The Double Finers asked Molly, "What do you want to be?" Molly replied, "A concept artist at Double Fine. It's what I've always wanted." Then, the Double Finers told Molly something that changed everything. "We've been sitting here talking about the things you do. I have codes for the games you worked on in my pocket. Is being a concept artist really all you want to be? I don't believe you." You can do a lot, and there's more to you than just designing creatures. You already have the freedom to do everything you enjoy doing. So, who do I have to be? Well, myself, I guess. All along. Was that all? Looking back, the people who made Molly sad did have good intentions. For one thing, Molly put off drawing boxes and still lifes way too much. But Molly realizes now that her younger self had a much better idea of what she wanted out of life. After all that, Molly set up a game studio with her partner, and they now make what they want to make. Molly also works as a freelancer, sharing her monsters with other projects all over the world. And Double Fine, I know you're listening. Molly's still waiting for that job offer to be a concept artist. Nobody tells Molly to make things like in World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. Molly's monsters are free and make people smile all over the world. It's too early to tell if Molly's story ends well, but she is happier than she has ever been in her entire life. And, at age 23, Molly was asked to do a TED Talk in Amsterdam. Here I am.